Hi, in this video I'm going to reveal a little bit of my workflow of how I engage with Google Antigravity and just share with you how I've managed to transform this application that I've been building for a number of months and basically just show you like what I've come to learn as one of the ways to engage in anti-gravity, especially when it comes to UX and user interface design and changes and so forth. So when anti-gravity was launched around I think November 18th, I installed it the next day. uh, Part of my experimental project is to understand what I can build with the latest in AI tooling. And up until that point, I've really kind of stayed away from vibe coding platforms. I had some early fun with some of these early platforms to code some games and so forth. I think I've got some videos on my channel showing some simple creations of old school sort of games and apps. But never really took it quite seriously. But I was very curious about Google's anti-gravity, and you can download it at antigravity.google. And I encourage you, if you haven't tried anti-gravity, really think you should. I think personally it is the next generation. It is next level when it comes to application development, and also really next level when it comes to agent assisted software development. So this is Google's anti-gravity, and what I'm going to share with you is how I managed to transform a really old school, old kind 90s style web application into a modern looking enterprise application that can stand side by side with a Jira UX experience if needed. So, and I'm really enjoying anti-gravity. So thanks Google for releasing anti-gravity. I've used it in its early days. It was unstable. I provided feedback, and every release that came out, just got better and better and more stable. I continue to engage and provide feedback as best as I can to the Google product managers. So I'm really looking forward to seeing anti-gravity grow and mature and become the next level tool for software development and application development. So what am I building? I am building this app. It's been rebranded to SMT, Software Management Tooling. It's it's a workspace that allows software managers, product managers, any kind of leader involved in product development, software development, systems development, to have a better understanding of the system under development, and along with that, how to manage teams better, how to plan roadmaps, how to visualize the architecture, and so forth. So this is what the current interface looks like, and I'm going to show you some of the artifacts that I've used, and it took me about probably a couple of days, I think, with anti-gravity to transform a very old UX to this current state that you see here. Um, who am I? You can go to my app on GitHub. This is the URL. Um, so khanmjk.github.io/alt software planning. If you click on that link, and it'll take you to this app. A little bit about me. This is an about page, a little bit of a plug. Yeah, so this is just my experiment, building SMT with AI assisted development practices and trying to explore the intersection of traditional software engineering with modern AI tooling. I've got links to my blog, my GitHub, and my LinkedIn profile. And there's a section here where you can see all my articles on AI development, as well as this YouTube videos links. Simple things like you would expect from an app that I've coded with with Antigravity and mostly Gemini 2.5. Um, it's like it supports different themes. You have dark mode. I've got some seasonal theming as well. There's also a cool, I'm feeling lucky sort of theme, generate random theme, where the system will generate a random theme for you. I was just having fun to see how long, how can I architect my code base to be responsive to any sort of theming. Again, this is something that developers often have in terms of their feature backlog, is to provide support for dark mode and light mode. I did this in one day. I think after refactoring my code base and spending a ton of hours trying to get everything just right to manage the themes. So we have a side panel on the left, which is your main menu navigation, and we have the concept of a workspace construct over here, where you have your heading and a toolbar where you can have different pull buttons that drives the page itself. I've also integrated AI, so with this app you can actually use AI to help build systems, help build POC systems, teams, organizations, and so forth. There's an AI chat panel that expands and contracts if you need it. There's a notification. We've got built-in notifications, things that you would expect from a modern enterprise app. So yeah, this is the current iteration. This app is live. You can do lots of things. If you want to understand how to use the app, you can go to documentation, and it will give you a description of what is the general mental model for the app and what you can do with it. Right? This app is tailored to anyone who's working in software engineering, who's working in product development, product management, project management, program management, you name it. There's things that are interest to all of those roles. So enough said. This is the app. The basic aim of this video is to share some of the tricks that I've come to learn as quite effective when you're engaging with the agents when it comes to describing UI changes and so forth. So what I've done is I tried to keep like a journal entry of my experience in refactoring and updating the UI, and a simple PowerPoint file that has screenshots of the interactions and the instructions to the AI. So without further ado, let me just jump into that PowerPoint and you can see what I mean. So PowerPoint is my canvas for taking screenshots and for explaining and prompting the AI agents in terms of the things I want to do with the app. So first couple of pages over here is showing the old application experience. It was a simple style, black background with a bunch of buttons on the header and some other helper buttons over here. And basically the user would click on these elements and it would open a page. And the design philosophy around at the time when I started building and iterating this MVP was very quick, very rapid, just to play with some concepts. And I really leaned on this carousel container sort of view that for every page there'd be a carousel and you can click next and previous. But that for a demo app, yeah, it's probably cool, but I wanted something that would be representative of an enterprise application, and something that looks and feels enterprise grade, and can stand side by side with something like the Jira UX experience as well. So this is how the system overview landing page looked like. User can go in and edit a system and craft the description of their system with their services and teams and APIs, etc. You can inspect the organizational design. So this is the team, the organization that is building this particular system, that would have consist of a bunch of senior managers, bunch of software development managers, and each development manager managing a two-pizza software development team. And there's different sort of views you can get around the organization, a block diagram of the org structure. And with AI mode enabled, you can see that the AI chat has context over the screen or the page that is currently in view, and you are able to ask it questions. There's some built-in questions, but you can interact with the AI and ask anything you want around the current view and the data that is being represented here. And there's a list view, an org table, and a quota system for a bunch of engineers, your engineer list, your resource management. This is a year plan, which is quite a pivotal primary feature of the application. Is every organization needs to have a yearly delivery plan, set of initiatives that are impacting all the teams that contribute to the initiatives. Each team has to provide some estimates, and the application kind of works out based on the capacity scenarios for a team. Are you gonna estimate the plan based on your fully funded capacity? That means what the finance teams have approved for your funding, your team funding, or you use your existing people, your builders in seats, that we, is a kind of Amazon term. By the way, yes, I used to work for Amazon AWS, and most of this mental model or the design of this comes from that experience, but every other tech company or software engineering organization will have similar concepts. So that's the year plan. This is the roadmap. This is how it looks. The roadmap, you can add new initiatives, manage themes. And I started playing around with having a detailed Gantt sort of planning feature. This is still a work in progress, but again, I wanted to see if I can really replicate or even enhance the standard project management tooling that's out there. That I feel the biggest gap with those planning tools is that there's no concept or context of the system architecture, the services, the dependencies, the APIs, the interfaces. And what I would want to do is, whenever you are planning an initiative or a particular work package, you get down to the level of detail which service team is impacted for a particular initiative, work package, user story, which services, which APIs, and this, because this is the data model accounts for all of that knowledge. You can very easily create your work package design, or your work breakdown for the piece of work, and pulling dependencies and so forth automatically. So that's still a work in progress, but again, it's just kind of conceptual right now. And then we have a dashboard for executives to view many different types of dashboards that executives like. There's capacity tuning, where this function is basically to account for all the time lost in other work not necessarily related to product development, feature development, and that feeds into your planning calculations. And there's a neat little tool for forecasting hiring. So if your team is underfunded and you need to hire, and you have a constraint when to hire, this tool has an algorithm that calculates effective ramp-up time, and it forecasts the time to get your new hires to be productive, and adds that capacity to the planning. So this is the old UX, and then I started interacting with Antigravity, saying, look at this old UX. I want to refresh this UX to make it more modern, aligned with standard enterprise web apps of the day, and also pointed out like it should look like Jira, or should look familiar like Jira. What can you provide in terms of different options. And the good thing with anti-gravity, because it's multimodal, it, it's got direct integrations with Gemini, Nano Banana, the image generation. So it was able to generate mock-ups for me, all from the same interface, from the same console, and I didn't have to look at any other tool to go and generate images. I could have the conversation in one place and iterate, and all the context and the session information would be bounded to that conversation. So, which I think is pretty neat. Now, the thing is, I found that these LLMs can get really stupid and confused, and it's much more effective just to use pictures to call out the things that you want to be edited. So we moved from this old UX and we created the new look, which was essentially a side panel view of the main menu and a horizontal view of the page. And I could have described, I resorted to drawing these pictures and these screenshots and to annotate what I wanted from the changes, because often, Gemini or even Claude as well, for that matter, and it's so good that Google provides Claude and also a GPT OSS model as well, built in with anti-gravity. So that's really cool. You have an option to use different models, and when you exhaust quotas, you can switch to different agent. But I found all of them get really confused. They would be on a really good good streak of writing some really good code, and then they make the most silliest of mistakes, especially with the UI and trying to get simple things changed in the UI. They kept tripping up and getting caught in this endless loop of destruction. So to preempt all of that and to interrupt them from going down the loop, and rather using words and sentences and text to describe what you want from a UI layout, is much better achieved using these screenshots and annotations. So all I very easily could say, okay, thank you for that, there's some issues, yeah, you're missing some breadcrumbs, there should be breadcrumbs, it should be settings. So basically the whole kind of breadcrumbs in terms of navigation was missing. Delete the current system should be disabled if there's no system loaded, and then there was some errors in the console that was being thrown for the screen, and boom, I just copy and paste this thing into anti-gravity. Please fix the callouts in the screenshot, and that's essentially how you get stuff done with UX on anti-gravity. There's another screen over here, giving directions. Okay, put the AI button here, allow the user to create with AI. You use separate buttons, do not show unknown date, so the agent can quickly process this visual and understand what I'm asking it for. But also sometimes it goes wrong and makes mistakes. So you can see in this example, it actually followed through and created the buttons that I needed, but it forgot to move this create, also include create with AI here. It also messed up the descriptions for this system, so I had to remind it. And then in the next iteration, it kind of lost the previous changes. So call it again. It can get really frustrating sometimes, right? So okay, these buttons lost their styling. Please put this back, expected styling, and it will go and fix it. And then as I iterated through every screen that I needed to refactor and enhance the UX, things like this, trying to explain that there's too much of gap between the list entries, there's too much of a right indent, move it to the left. There's like much more when you just provide the screenshot the agent reviews, understands the problem, and gets right at the job of fixing it. Same thing here is just simple callouts, and it's you get the drift. So this is what I've been doing. What I've done actually, now my UI is actually pretty stable now, and afterwards I've enforced a contract, an agent contract, to explain exactly how the workspace is rendered, what are the rules, what is by default we need to have left animation, left alignment, we need to have a toolbar at the top, and so forth. So once you have the agent contract in place for your UI, then new features are really easy, and we wouldn't hardly ever run into the alignment problems or styling again. So this is a similar story. Yeah, so the white space was an issue, and it would go several times. There's nothing wrong. I've looked at the styles. I've looked at the markup. You need to inspect the DOM. I'm like, I'm not looking at the DOM. I'm sorry. This is do your job. Here's a screenshot. This is what's wrong. Please move it. And then it would eventually get it right. And often it would go and misinterpret some of your requirements, and trying to explain in this detailed planning Gantt table, hey, you've got a list over here that's showing with things duplicated. It's very hard to describe that in text, right? So a picture is worth 1,000 words. You can just hey, what's up with this? It's very confusing. It serves no purpose. Please explain. And then it'll go and figure out what was the miss, and you can work through the requirements. And then in its eagerness, sometimes it forgets the styling rules. For this page, I had to go round and round trying to say the rule for the workspace is that we want the content to blend in and to feel part of the desktop. That's why it's called a workspace concept. Stop putting borders around these frames. And a few times it thought, well, okay, there are no borders, and then just putting the screenshot and showing proof. There's a border, remove this border, keep this border, remove that border, remove that border, and then it gets it. This is quite a complicated view where I've got a panel over here that is an independent Gantt table. It's a detailed Gantt table, and on the right hand side is another independent Gantt renderer. So I was just also trying to experiment with different rendering engines. So there's Mermaid, which is really cool for the architecture diagrams, and I wanted to see if Mermaid can also do Gantt charts, but Mermaid's not interactive. So in my app, I've just got a feature flag button here. It's just from a technical curiosity point of view. Eventually, I'll have to decide that Frappe is the way. But having these two views that are independently scrollable, and trying to get the line items, the rows aligned, like what you're doing on this table, needs to reflect over here on the Gantt chart. If you expand the Gantt chart, the table needs to respond, and so forth. So again, here trying to explain this in text is hard, really hard. The relationships, just drawing this freehand and saying what you want, then the AI kind of gets it. By the way, I still don't have this feature completely 100% yet. Again, trying to call out, this is quite a complex relationship over here with one is a table, one is a Gantt. This is a third-party library. How do you calculate? How do you keep the rows the same height and so forth? Yeah, so super complex and not easy for an AI to completely get what you're trying to do, even if you try to explain it in text. But it does a reasonable job, and I think over time it will get better. One thing, as soon as it can support video recordings. I'm not sure if it does. I'm not really tried recording a video. Maybe I should do that. I don't think it has support for video input, but I it's probably a matter of time since the models or anti-gravity will support video input. And then if you take a video of the interaction, then it'll be much easier for the agent to see what's happening, that hey, this thing is not in sync, please, I want this thing to be synchronized, what can we do? Yeah, and that's about it. And then my most recent edition, I actually stopped with this PowerPoint until like yesterday, when I introduced the Git storyline little tool for me to visualize the growth of my code base and the growth of the files, and have this lovely raced animation showing how the files are overtaking each other in terms of lines of code. And it took a couple of iterations until I just had to just screenshot and say what to do. Make these wider, remove that, remove this graveyard overlay. There was a kind of overlay that used to come up and block this entire view. Same with the milestones. The milestones will pop up and block this entire view. There's simple instructions: remove the milestone overlay, replace with milestone section here, hide when the animation ends. Remove the graveyard overlay, graveyard info must be in this space, hide when the animation ends. And boom, like it did it. So yeah, this is, if you were wondering how to go about doing this, it's really powerful. Just use visuals and annotations, and Antigravity is the one-stop shop to get your work done. I mean, Antigravity initially was a little confusing for me. It looked like VS Code, so my first default was using the code editor and using the agent chat panel within the code editor itself, and I just found it a bit confusing and slow, because then I'd had to approve the code changes each time. It was just like wasting my time, until I realized, well, actually you don't even really need the code editor view in the Antigravity. The workspace you should be working off is the agent manager, and since then I've been flying. Yeah, so you can see I just use PowerPoint, not Canva or any other thing. Just screenshot, annotate, and very quick. I mean, it's like you can just take a screenshot, put your annotations. That's like less than a minute. Put it into the prompt and say fix this and fix the callouts, and rapidly you can get your UI to the shape you want it. Okay, so we just lost my view here. So where is my view? Where is my view? Okay, sorry about that. Where's this? There we go. Here. Okay, so back to the app. So this is the app, and let me just show you that complex view I was talking about. Right, so got a bunch of systems that's been loaded. So now you can see I don't have the carousel anymore. I've just got the pulls. And look how cool this is. This is a generated architecture diagram for the system. You want to look at API interactions across the entire system, just check this out. It's really cool. You can go into one particular service, and then you can see how it drills down. Now, yeah, I'm giving you a little bit sneak peek of this app, but let me just show you this view, right? So this is what I was talking about. This is the complicated view. I can drag and make the table smaller so that I can see the Gantt chart view better. If I expand the table, I expect the Gantt to be expanding. And this is Mermaid. It's pretty static. So if I switch to Frappe, so now this is the alignment I was talking about. So anything I do on the Gantt table needs to reflect on the Gantt chart. If I drill down on the Gantt chart, we need to drill down on the table. It needs to kind of keep track of the scope, and synchronize. So you can see this is pretty okay. As soon as you go down, it tries its best to synchronize, and keep the two views in sync. And what you can do here though is, and this is where I'm heading, depending on how much time I get, but to really go deep into planning to help software managers out, rather than spending a ton of time on OmniPlan and Microsoft Project. There is a better way, there is a simpler way, and I think I can do it. So you can drag and drop. So whatever you do here, if it changes, and everything else reacts over here. So if I change this team now to earlier, whoops, yeah. So that's kind of what can it be? There, let's just see. So it's responsive, and whatever you do here then gets reflected in the year plan. This is also quite complex. You can drag and drop. You can look at scenarios. You can look at your capacity constraints. You can find out based on your capacity which initiatives are going to fit based on your funding, which are above the line, which are below the line. If you feel like you need to drag something up and move it above the line, you can move it. It will move something below the line. Kind of indicates the team load, and when this is a running status of what happens, it turns red when the team is out of capacity. If you look at this, Crusaders turns red over here at this point of this initiative, so they are currently overloaded. And if I go to this team summary table, I can see that Crusader is indeed overloaded. Now, if I had AI, I don't have my AI key, I think. I don't know. Let me just see if I do have the AI. I don't think I have my API key here, but let me see. If you can interact with the AI, like, okay, which teams are overloaded in this plan? And then, okay, right, yeah, so I don't have that particular key yet. That'll be another video, another demo. So, yeah, that's it. That's how I used Antigravity to create this new look. And a cool thing is that Antigravity, I didn't have to specify everything in detail. These icons, this notification bell, this little layers, all of these little icons, I didn't specify this at all. Maybe this is the joy of vibe coding, I don't know. But Antigravity, or the AI agent from my code base, could understand and synthesize conceptually what is the main features of the app and what are the pages trying to do, and it found the icons that are relevant for the particular capability and feature, which I found really cool. Like, I didn't ask it to do this. And then even from the dashboards as well, that I specified at a high level what I think I would want, and it helped create these cards. And what is also really cool is this interactive roadmap now that product managers can use. Again, you can do this with Jira and so forth, but this is everything in one place now. Like, anyone can come and use this. You can move a card. You can double click on the card, get to the initiative. You can see all the metadata related to the initiatives and so forth. You can have a view of your 3-year plan. You can move these things. A team can go and say, okay, what's my roadmap looking like for the next 3 years? Yeah, so a software development manager can go and find all of this at their fingertips. Even a senior manager. So if you can filter by leadership in an organization. You can go to your organization view, and you can see what's going on there. And then often teams will change, teams get reprioritized, engineers move around, even managers get reassigned. You want to do all of that in one place, and you can go to edit your system, you can go to your teams, If you look at Avengers, there, this is who's the SDM. Currently it's Alice. Let me make Grace the SDM and see what happens, right? So this is for Team Avengers. Let me save that, get a notification saved, save all changes, and let me go back to org design, and let's see what happened to Avengers. You see, Avengers now has been allocated to Grace Lee, and now Alice might not have a team. There we go, Alice doesn't have a team. So these are just, this is what I'm building. It's a set of tools. Eventually it'll be very functional, and guess what, it's been built from day one using AI. Let me just show you. If let me see what is this, what is this, Google Docs. There we go. Yeah, so just a sneak peek, right? What does it look like? I mean, I started building this from prompts. Yes, this was before integrated coding agents, before the LLMs or the apps like ChatGPT or Gemini had access to import a code base from GitHub. So I had to do a lot of manual things. So from April, I think this year, I tried to keep a journal of all my interactions. And you can see this is like the very start of me recapping what I built and needed their help. So it's like, I'd like your help in building a new kind of software management planning tool. So my core thesis is that planning all starts by working backwards from the systems or software architecture. And basically I described my mental model, and look at this. I mean, pages and pages and pages of me directing and instructing and, you know, copying and pasting the output, and yep. So it is not easy to build an app with AI, and even the vibe coding craze, I'm sure like you can really build a web app quickly and deploy it and host it and so forth. But if you want to build something really complex and quite serious as well, like I'm not too sure. I haven't really spent a lot of time on vibe coding platforms. I'm a first principles guy, and I'm doing this as for me to learn and to be part of this evolution, to witness how AI is changing over time, how these models are changing over time, and learn and grow with their growth. So I'm not jumping on the vibe coding platforms just yet, and I've got a specific problem to solve, and I'm trying to build it out and use whatever productivity enhancement features I can use. And that's why now I am locked onto Antigravity. I don't think I'm going to be looking at any other tool or any other app apart from Antigravity. I hope Antigravity does not end up being shelved. It's helped me out a lot. Let me see what else I can do here. Localhost. If you look up here, this is how my platform, how the code base has evolved. So yeah, check this out, right? I mean, I started this in October 24. What you've seen on the Google Docs here is from April 25, when I got a little bit more serious, and I says, okay, let me log this. Let me log my journey. Let me journal it. So I'm going to, but it's exhausting, right? I kind of just gave up at the end of, where is it? I stopped journaling at the end of, what was this? June, I think, right? This was June 26th June 2025 was my last entry on this journal. And you can see that I just, July, August, September, October, I did nothing. Like I was done. because I think it was a waste of my time. I was wasting my time with copying, pasting, prompting and prompting and prompting, and needed something more from the AI. And then I woke up again in November, so GPT-5, and then November, obviously. So November and December is when Gemini 3 and Antigravity, November 18th, it all started to change. And I've got an interest again in pursuing this app. The other thing is, like, one of the shortcomings of all these chats and these platforms is, I don't know, maybe if you know, I couldn't find a date stamp, time stamped conversation. It's just a list of conversations and the context, and so it would be really cool if we could get the conversation time and date stamped, so that we can see the record of interaction. Cool. So that's what I wanted to share with you, a little bit of how I have experienced and interacting with Antigravity, and how to use the visuals for your screens and UI changes, rather than trying to get the AI to understand your English, your instructions to change UI elements. Just annotate it and it'll get done. Cool. Thanks so much. Cheers. Bye bye.